Hey guys, I'm Sarah Louise, welcome to my channel, and today I wanted to talk about a simp, which has become a modern slang word that is actually generally used by guys towards guys. You very rarely hear women call somebody a simp, actually, because it's just not something that women tend to use. And it generally is considered as men that have too much feminine energy. But I actually take kind of offense at this because the qualities of being a simp, in my opinion, are not remotely feminine at all. They are just lower, unhealed qualities of somebody that's desperate, people-pleasing, and somewhat manipulative, actually. But I'm not saying even purposely manipulative, but when we're unhealed and we are desperately seeking attention from the opposite sex or same sex if you're gay, then it's quite easy to actually be manipulative without realizing, because you are so desperate for this person's attention that you will kind of do manipulative things of all levels. Some of them are so subtle that you don't even realize till you strip the layers back that it was actually manipulation to a degree. Even hanging out with somebody under the guise of being a friend that you want as more of a friend is in some way manipulation if you're hoping to get something more from it. So I just want to read the definition of simp that I found from it says dictionary.com. What does simp mean? Simp is a slang insult for men who are seen as too attentive and submissive to women, especially out of a failed hope of winning some entitled sexual attention or activity from them. And the thing I want to say is does that sound like an empowered woman? Does that sound like empowered femininity to you, that an empowered woman would desperately seek validation from a man that wasn't interested in her just to get sexual gratification? No, it isn't feminine. It is not feminine energy. And I actually think men just lump all these things and call it feminine energy because they actually have quite a low opinion of what feminine energy is deep down. And I'm not even saying that from like a feminist triggered way. It's just true that if that's what you see as feminine energy, then you have a low opinion of what a divine or empowered woman actually is, because it isn't a desperate, low boundary, weak energy. I don't think it's gender related at all. I think we've all done it. Who hasn't? I'll definitely own up to it. I didn't really do it generally across the board, but if I had, there was really strong spiritual connections that I had where I ended up being really desperate and thinking that I could sort of almost people please to get this person to want to be with me. That's really what I consider simping to be. And did it ever work? No. But I don't believe it's a gender thing that just men do. We do it too. We just all grow out of it as we learn more self-love and we have stronger boundaries. And in my opinion, a divine feminine energy is about attraction. It's about being able to magnetize things and create things. And a divine masculine energy is about being able to action things. And personally, I find it attractive when men have female energy and have feminine energy. I find that attractive to be when someone's balanced in both divine energies. And we kind of need some form of balance to get anything done in life. Sure, if you're in an amazing connection and you're working together and you're living together, and one can be completely in their feminine and one can be completely in their masculine. And say, for example, the woman's painting and doing her art and she's creating all this stuff and she's magnetizing comments and abundance, and then the man is like, right, I'm going to take all your artwork and I'm going to make a display, I'm going to get it sold, I'm going to take it to London or New York, and I'm going to get all the biggest people to come look at your art. Now that would be an example where both sexes would sort of come together and work together to utilize their energies. But if you don't have that, you have to do it by yourself. You can't just sit there and create and magnetize. You have to do some form of actioning. So we all do need some, masculine and feminine energies. And there's divine masculine energies and there's divine feminine energies. And there's sort of lower forms of these energies too. And in my opinion, a simp it's not a gendered thing. There was I put this on my Facebook and there was a comment that I thought really explained the simp very, very well. Let me see if I find it, where one of my Facebook friends said, it sounds like you're describing the nice guys act as the desperate, needy people pleasers who mainly run around after women being nice because they have an agenda. Exactly. So I would class that as simping, which is acting like a doormat or a woman's personal butler because they want to date her and sleep with her, etc. They act like that, thinking it's the nice thing to do to get with her, not realizing that women don't tend to like or respect such needy, pathetic and incredibly selfish, manipulative behavior. So yes, I wouldn't call simping a feminine trait. Firstly, a man who has male and female sides seems healthy and balanced to me. Goes on. But this is exactly what I think, is that simp is not a gender. To call simps feminine, I actually think is insulting to feminine energy, because it's suggesting that feminine energy is somehow weak, doesn't have strong boundaries, is a people pleaser, is desperate, chases after attention. And this is not an empowered feminine energy. An empowered feminine energy can sit back and manifest and magnetize opportunities and attention her way without needing to kind of go out and chase and seek it. And it's a learning curve for all of us. Like I said, I don't believe there's anyone of any gender. Maybe there's like the tiniest handful, but I believe at least 90% of both genders have at some point in their life been desperate, over given to somebody, you know, been a bit of a people pleaser. And we grow out of it by learning self-love and boundaries, and we rewire and reprogram ourselves, and we learn to more sort of, if you want divine feminine energy, it's like you sit back and magnetize, and the more divine masculine is like you've got an assertive way of going out and achieving that. So they are different traits, but in my opinion, neither of them are desperate. Neither a divine masculine or a divine feminine is a desperate energy. It's an empowered energy that does not chase people that are not interested. It either asserts and it actions, and it's like, do you want to go for a drink? That's a more masculine energy. I'm not saying only men have to use it, but that's a more masculine energy. A more feminine energy is she just dances in her magnetizing energy, and the man comes and actions asking her for a drink. This kind of desperate attention seeking, putting up with stuff you don't want, hanging out with someone as a friend when you really want to date them. This isn't feminine. This isn't feminine. This is unhealed, genderless behavior of people that have not learned and stepped into their true divine essence. So yeah, I get somewhat insulted when people try to say these people are feminine. And I would also like to say, I think there's another aspect to it, because some men that I think other men call simps genuinely are quite desperate, and you know, I read things that they, you know, post or whatever, and I'm like, oh, cringe. not that any of us have ever wrote stuff that we don't look back and cringe on, but sometimes I think men call simps who are actually just nice people, and there's nothing wrong with being a nice person, and there's nothing wrong with, as a man, carrying feminine energy. In my personal opinion, I love feminine energy in guys. I have no problem with it. I think that we all should be able to master those masculine and feminine energies within themselves. I've always felt like I have quite a strong masculine energy. I would say I probably float 50-50. I can be very feminine, but I can be quite masculine at times. And I like that in guys as well. I like guys that have some feminine energy, but also masculine. The masculine energy is strong. In my opinion, it's just more the divine aspects of that energy. You know, if you're a man and you've incorporated some feminine energy, but it's the divine feminine, then that's very different and very helpful to your life than incorporating weak feminine aspects. The same as women don't want to take on weak masculine aspects. And you do see that when women feel they're not powerful enough in their feminine energy, so it's almost like they desperately try to take on masculine traits, but they're sort of lower vibrational masculine traits that make them, you know, I'm sure we've all had a female boss that tried to be a man, but wasn't chill and laid back with it. And it actually was just a nightmare because they sort of took on all the lower vibrational masculine traits. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking on traits of both energies. I actually think the more masculine and feminine, higher vibrational traits you can have within you to be able to pick from as and when you need or want them, the better, you know. As a woman, it's amazing if you can magnetize and attract and create, but if you can't action it in any way, shape or form, you're going to get stuck. And if you're all action, but you can't sit back and dream and visualize and create and manifest, you're also going to get a little bit stuck. So in my opinion, the more higher vibrational aspects we can reach and have the choice from, it doesn't mean you have to always use them. Like I said, if you then get into a partnership with a divine counterpart and they have strong traits, it means you can kind of lean back and you don't need to be able to use them all the time anymore. But if you're not, and you're on your own and you're running a business, you need to have access to all these traits. So that's the way I see it. And yeah, I get kind of personally offended when people call simps feminine, because I don't understand what part of their energy is a healthy divine feminine, because I don't think anything that they do, manipulation, low boundaries, desperation, trying to suck up to people for love or sex, like none of those things are what I would aspire to as a woman. They might be things I've done, not all of them, but you know, I have definitely chased people and not had the boundaries that I wanted, but they're not things that I aspire to as, you know, a more empowered woman. I don't believe a simp is a gender. And I don't think we have to hate simps. It's just that they need to heal. They need to go away and find self-respect and boundaries. Oh yeah, and I think I cut myself off before when I was just saying that I think some men actually try and put men down that have just embraced their female energy. And sometimes when people call people a simp, I completely disagree. I actually think that they are empowered people that have managed to balance their masculine and feminine. And I sometimes think that criticism can come from an unhealed place, because they are jealous that maybe that person's getting a lot more attention than them, so they want to call them a simp. So there's all different levels to being a simp and calling people a simp. But just because a man has embraced his feminine energy, in my opinion, is not a negative thing. It's not what you would call a simp or anything like that. But if somebody is desperate and no boundaries, and that is what I consider a simp energy. And I do not believe it has a gender. It does not have a feminine or masculine base. It just has an unhealed base that needs to be worked on. But anyway, that's my opinion. What do you all think about it? All right, bye.